Welcome to the Sacred Success Summit, where you access the secrets to sacred success and become even more of the goddess you've always known you were. Ranchelle Van Bryce is a dynamic force dedicated to helping women live their purpose and manifest success in all life facets, from professional achievements to creating a new relationship with their business. As a business intuitive, sacred commerce coach, author, and host of a podcast TV show, she excels in illuminating each woman's unique potential. Co-creator of this summit, Ranchelle is eager to introduce another inspirational guest. Take it away, Ranchelle.
Woohoo! Samantha's in the house. Aren't we like the luckiest ever? Luckiest ever to have Samantha in the house.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. How is everyone feeling? Thank you, Jackie. Let's do a check-in. I mean, this is the most amazing. And I know I say this all the time, but this really feels like the most amazing summit. The connections that we're making, the collaborations that are happening in the background, the clarity that everyone's getting. I mean, it's funny that I say that because that's really how this whole thing started, right?
Yeah.
Was for us to be able to not only have that for ourselves, but for others. And so I feel blessed. I feel blessed to be here with all of you. And, you know, we rock, paper, scissors when we go to interview each other, right? So,
I know, right?
Who's doing good? Who's doing great? Awesome. Samantha, welcome.
Thank you.
I want to honor you and your success, your sacred success, by sharing everyone a little bit about you.
Okay.
So Samantha is a TEDx speaker, author, and esteemed marriage coach, recognized for her counterculture approach to transforming relationships. As the founder of The Gems with Samantha and the creator of the Inner Mosaic method, fantastic method, by the way, she's a beacon for individuals yearning to break through negative family patterns and lay the foundations for loving and trusting relationships. Samantha is on a mission to help save, this speaks volumes as to who you are. 10 million marriages. Like not, I want to say like 5 or 100. She's like 10 million. 10 million. I want 10 million to save 10 million marriages. Recently launched her international best-selling book, Finding Beauty in Your Broken Pieces. Love it. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ranchelle. I love letting people into our magical conversations. Like when you, Candace and I talk, it's like, we should record this. These are fun. And so this is like a little window to the types of conversations we have on a regular basis. So I'm so proud.
Absolutely. You know, and I was sharing, I think it was the last interview I was doing, is like one of my favorite pieces of doing summits, interviews in general, is the story of, like, you know, because we all have we have many stories, but there are a few that will stand out for us in our transformation. And I'd love for you to share yours.
Yeah. When it comes to marriages and like being the thing that I do, my story really starts at a really young age. So I'm a product of divorced parents. I'm a product of divorced grandparents on both sides of my family, and aunties and uncles divorced as well. And so when I was a little girl, I was maybe 6 or 7 or so, I came to this declaration and I swore to myself that I would never get a divorce. Well, fast forward my life up until being with my husband we were high school sweethearts. We had our first daughter right out of high school. So we were teen parents, and 10 years into our relationship, and we were married at that point. I don't even know how many years we were married at that point. 6 years, maybe. I found myself being on the brink of divorce. The thing I swore I would never do I was about to do. And it was because that I found out that my husband had lied to me about his addiction for that past 10 years. He hid it really well. In retrospect, like obviously I could see the red flags, but when you're in it, you don't really look for it, right? And so, yeah, I was about to take my comprehensive exam to graduate with my master's degree in marriage and family therapy. It was literally the morning of this exam for 8 hours. I was about to sit for 8 hours to take this exam. I found out about his addiction. And it was literally the perfect storm around that time. He almost lost his foot in a work accident the Monday before comps, which was Sunday. My grandmother flatlined. I was diagnosed with a heart condition, like you name it, it was happening. It was like, yeah, okay, all right, life. And that was a really big turning point for me. Like here I was. Oh, and I was working as a substance abuse counselor. Like, hello. Yeah. Here I was like living out this self-fulfilling prophecy of something the one thing I didn't want to happen for my kids. And not that my parents' divorce was horrible. Like I didn't know them to be married. They were separated before I was even one. But it was just something I just wanted different for my kids than what I had. So fast forward a few more years, we went to marriage therapy. We tried all the things that I was supposed to do. And I tried all the things at home that I learned in school, and it all didn't work. It literally failed us. Like the system failed us.
Yeah.
And that was when I had to do it a different way. And so over the last 7 years, I've created a methodology, a formula of how to transform your relationship when your partner's not willing to do the work, when your partner's not ready to go to the depths that you're ready to go to. So yeah, that's what brings me here. My life story.
Yeah, right. And there's so much that I love, and I'm privileged because I've heard your story, but every time you share it, there's like a deeper, like something new I hear, a deeper sense. And working alongside with you here, at CCC, and being able to, like when we were in Hawaii at the summit, and you brought your genius of the Inner Mosaic. I know there's a couple of people here that have been there. We're with us. That work that you talk about, working on ourselves, right, without the needing of the agreement of the person that we're in a relationship with. It truly is a game changer. And so I'm grateful to have met you, but I'm grateful to experience. I mean, I have so much more, not only awareness, but wisdom, moving forward and building and developing that relationship with myself. And it really, for me, that's what it's been, Samantha, right? Is how do I trust myself?
Yes.
Right.
And that is so key
in the process of, and when so many red flags in my life, right? And not seeing them at the time. And then you look back and go, how did I miss that red flag? Red flag.
Yeah. In hindsight, it's 2020, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I would love for you to start us off with your mic drop paradigm shifts, because you really are, I want to give you credit as well here. So Samantha is the reason why we are all doing mic drop moments of paradigm shifts here. So I really believe that you need that honor, because and I don't even know if it was in Hawaii or if it was after Hawaii, and you were like, you had some paradigm shifts and you're like, oh, this is what I want for all of us. So just thank you for that. And please share your first mic drop moment.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. I saw the power of what a changed mind can do, and how much of a disservice it is for us to give away tools without first helping somebody to shift the mindset that's keeping them stuck in the first place. The tools do nothing in the tool shed. So we got to unlock the tool shed first. Sorry, I'm getting hot because I'm talking and channeling and I gotta turn the fan. Okay,
Yeah.
so the very first shift, the paradigm shift, the mindset shift would be people will tell you if you are with the right person, or if you were with the right person, they will make you feel loved, seen, heard, understood, valued. Anyone heard that? Anyone heard that? That you should be with someone who makes you feel so loved and so, beautiful, and you should be the center of their world. And yep. Yes. But here's why that's wrong. Okay. That is codependency. When we rely on someone to make us feel a certain way, we are giving away our power. Okay. I'll let you like express your.
Everyone's like, what? You see, everyone's like typing. You feel them. Yeah.
It is. And not a lot of people realize that. I posted this not too long ago. I remixed a post that was really lovely and warm and fuzzy. And technically that's really what I was searching for. And still, like, it still brings me the warm and fuzzies. But I also am real with myself that it's codependency. And it's a very not popular opinion. I got a lot of messages saying like, I don't agree with you. That's not true. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, okay. You get to believe what you want to believe. But just so you know, if you continue with this belief that you're looking for or need your partner to be someone who helps you feel a certain way about yourself, you are setting yourself up for failure. And that's why so many marriages end, right? That's what we're talking about today, the myths that end these marriages. And it has to do with the common codependency culture that we live in and is acceptable and almost like praised in our society.
Well, it starts at such a young age. Anyone heard of Walt Disney? Like,
Yeah, I love Disney.
I love Disney too, right? But there was a moment I was watching, I think Frozen for some reason, and I turned around to my partner Rob and said, "Oh, we buy into this myth, like the shining knight and the damsel in distress, or the powerful woman who needs no one."
Yes.
Right? And right, yeah, at a young age.
It's the like you said, damsel in distress, or the empowered woman who doesn't have a man by her side. Like, why is that the image that we're creating in this world, right? And even that in and of itself is codependency. And let me like break that down for a second, right? What we truly are desiring is interdependency. We are a society that needs one another. Yes, we're not meant to live in isolation, that we are social creatures. So yes, we do need one another to a certain degree, right? The interdependency of a culture, of a community, of what we're gathered here today to do, right? It's not to do this alone. No solopreneur energy anymore. And at the same time, there's this fine line where we can breach over and say like, but Ranchelle, you made me feel so hurt in that moment when you did this. Right? And unless I own it, I'm in codependency. If I say you made me feel this way, or what you did made me feel this way, instead of saying, oh, actually you did that, my thoughts about that, the story I'm telling myself about what you did caused me to feel that way. It's my story, right? So we need to own it. But here's the thing, this one point, this one myth actually leads me to how I transformed my marriage, which is by myself. In the beginning, granted, he caught up. I wouldn't have been able to do it if he didn't catch up eventually, right? But it's through this law of systems, and systems are meant for interdependency, not codependency. All the systems that fail, like if you're talking about an ecosystem, the ecosystems that fail are codependent. They're codependent, meaning if this one species dies, the rest of the species die behind it because they're so dependent on the species ahead of it, on their food chain. But interdependency creates transformation, creates evolution, right? And we want to evolve. So we need to be interdependent, not codependent.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not following the chat.
Yeah, no, I got it. I got it. People are just like, oh, I can relate to codependency, interdependency, 1,000%. Right. Oh, yes, I don't love it. Right. I'm a powerful woman. Yeah, I love it. It's and the insidiousness of codependency.
Yeah.
Right. The insidiousness, and Samantha, you and I had a conversation after I spent some time in Mexico with my parents. I was sharing in one of the talks of, doing my best to not be the little girl, at 50, I think I'm 55 right now, at 55 years old, not being the little girl with her parents and a little bit of a lot of success and a little bit of trauma, right? Wait, and leaving that. And then, you and I having this conversation and this possibility of looking at it through a different lens of it's not what I think it is, it's something completely different. And it was your guidance, your pointing out of me witnessing codependency and how that has as an adult how it's affecting me. And that's that's one of the reasons why I love your methodology, because you were able to show me like here's what's going on. And I was like it was a huge WTF moment, folks, for me, because I was like, no idea that's what was going on.
And
right?
One more thing about codependency before we move on is people think that codependency must be like related to addiction. Like it's that word codependency almost stemmed from the addiction field, right? So AA or just addiction in general speaks a lot about codependency, but in essence, it's everywhere. It's cultural, well beyond the addiction culture, right? So it's, well, granted, we live in an addiction culture, so yeah, well, it's everywhere. But it exists outside of that realm too. You don't have to be in relationship with an addict to be a codependent.
Yeah.
And you can be a codependent with a codependent. Like it's
oh yeah, and that's just so much fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's why we end with so many divorces, right? Like we're just having fun being codependent and it doesn't work.
Right. Michelle says codependent squared. I love that. Yes.
Yeah. Times infinity.
And so that leads, of course, to your second myth that you're going to bust.
Yes. So who has heard about this saying, never go to bed angry? Anyone gotten that marriage advice?
Right. Yes.
People will tell you, don't go to bed angry. And here's why that's wrong. So there's one tool I'll teach you here today, and it's like the main tool I teach my couples, and it's called HALT. Hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. If you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, either one of you halt. No talking. And it's not meant to be used as a weapon to say, nope, we can't talk because Sam said it's halt. It's not meant to be used that way, but it really like you don't make your best decisions in those states, right? I was listening to some of the earlier talks, right? Like really getting your nervous system in alignment, really finding that grounding space. It's important, but we're told to push through or like try to communicate when your fight or flight or freeze nervous system is activated. Like try, just do it, because we said you have to do it. You can't go to bed angry. Like,
yeah, like exactly. That's right. Yeah.
Right. And okay, so I want to bring that broader, right? Because that's a very specific example of like why marriages end. Right? 3 marriage myths that end most marriages is couples will tell themselves and each other that they have to talk it out. They have to finish the conversation and they can't go to bed angry, because if they do, their marriage will end. Actually doing that probably ends more marriages than pausing and halting.
Yeah.
But the thing is, most people think that they have a communication problem with one another. I don't know if any of you have been in a relationship or a marriage or have gone to marriage counseling, and the first thing you say is, we can't communicate, please help us. Yes, anyone? I know I did. As a marriage
You're not
therapist.
Samantha. No.
Yeah, going to marriage therapy. Like, I was like, we can't communicate, help us communicate. Yes, everyone thinks it's a communication problem. It's not. Right? And going to bed angry talks about communication. It's about communicating. And so here's the thing. Your problem that you think is to communicate with that other person is actually a problem of communication within yourself.
Okay, you got to say that again.
Okay. Your communication problem is not with another person. Your communication problem is with yourself. Hence why marriage therapy fails for most couples.
Yeah.
They're trying to communicate with each other before they even know what the heck is going on inside here. Ouch. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Patty was like, holy shit. That's why I was like, can you say it again?
Yeah. It really is, right? That's really where Inner Mosaic comes into play. We won't go too much into that today, but I've learned in my own marriage that I have tried to articulate 20 to 100 different ways why I don't feel loved by my husband. And guess what? Every time I tell him to do something different to make me feel more loved, he fails. And then he gets to this place where he's like, I can't do anything right. You keep finding something wrong with me. Why do I even want to be in this marriage if all you see is my faults? But the thing is, it wasn't me trying, like, we were communicating well. I was telling him what he can do and not do. And I was, talking to him. It's not like we were mute or ignoring one another. We were talking. I just wasn't telling him what I actually needed because I didn't know. I wasn't talking to myself. I wasn't communicating with the parts of me that were triggered by my marriage. That's the key.
And that's the key. And that's where we I know you'll talk about Inner Mosaic here in a bit, but that's really when you talk about the parts of me, that's like the inner mosaic, the different parts of ourselves. So what you're saying then is, as we become aware of these inner parts of ourselves, we start communicating with these different parts with ourselves first.
Yeah.
Because that's the problem isn't communicating. So my problem isn't communicating with Rob.
Right.
My problem is the communication that I have within myself and the different parts of myself.
Yeah. And once you know that, you will have, I promise you, it will be easy to tell him what's wrong. It will be easy to do that, right? So first off, it's owning what's yours and what's his. He's not responsible for your feeling. My husband's not responsible for my feeling. Secondly, it's communicating with ourselves enough so we can articulate that. I also shared in a recent post where my husband he was in Japan, and it was like super triggering because what he used to do was go out super late at night, drink a lot with his friends. I was more concerned about his safety. And then he would just push it and push it and push it and push it and not answer. And I'm like, are you alive? Are you okay? Right. And then it would lead to me getting upset. And he's like, see, you never liked when I go out. And it was just this huge recurring fight. And I'm not like protective or jealous or anything. I'm just like, dudes, do what you say you're going to do. Like, just follow through, please. Yeah. But here's the thing. Oh yeah, here's the thing.
Oh, good. Yeah.
I was like, oh, I saw a timer. But here's the thing. In that moment in Japan, and even recently, like we had a different disagreement. It wasn't about him consoling me, or him listening, or him understanding where I was at. The reality was, the reason why I like have to hash it out with them is because I'm trying to understand myself. I don't know if any of you guys have experienced that. Like when you're actually fighting or like conversing with someone, you're really not trying to get their opinion a lot of the times. You're just trying to understand, like verbalize and like understand you, like what you want, right? And so that's really, really, really important for us is that's the key. It's really us understanding ourselves, and then the articulation comes easily after that. Yes.
That's
Yes.
huge. And then, so when we're doing that, as we're working through that process, as we start to communicate with ourselves, that's kind of the inner mosaic work, isn't it? Where we don't, so I don't need to right away. Here's what I'm hearing. I want to clarify. Is that at first, my goal is to communicate within myself, to have a trusted resource, like you as an example, to be able to do that. So then what happens is, then when I've figured myself out, then I have the tools, a way to communicate better with my spouse.
I don't think that you have a communication problem with the other people. We talk to each other all the time. We communicate with people all the time. So you don't even need the tool of communication. You learn that as a child, learning the English language, right? It's really the getting to what you really mean that's important. The moment I said what I meant to my husband versus like all this other stuff, it was just this like calmness like washed over me. And I was like, oh, it wasn't him validating me that created the calmness. It was this, finally, Sam, you said the right thing. Like, inside my own head, like,
for you. Yeah. The right thing for you.
Yeah. What I really feel. And I hit it on the point. And so Inner Mosaic is a process, and it's really a process and a tool to help you better understand yourself and all the parts of yourself. So in every strong emotional impact that we had growing up, an imprint was made on our soul. A new part of ourself was born. Okay. And so each of these parts, as you're driving the bus of life, your bus, are on the bus. All the parts are on the bus. And at any given moment, one part of you will jump into the driver's seat. Most of the time it's the you today that's driving, but in a triggered moment, when something triggers you internally, good or bad, another part of you almost gets granted permission to jump into the driver's seat just for a split second. And most of the time they take that opportunity and run with it. And so it's my belief, and this is mine, I'm not saying it has to be everybody else's, but my belief is that if we learn how to trust all parts of ourselves, and all parts of ourselves trust us, that we could walk through this world with our head held high, not caring, not that we don't care, but really not concerned about what other people think about us, not trying to compete with anyone else, but right, like it really is about, and I believe this to the world, like if everybody walked around in the world trusting themselves, we wouldn't have war. We wouldn't have the fights that we have. Everything, all the chaos in the world right now has to do with the lack of trust that people have. And it's not with other people, it's with themselves. So one, we're learning how to communicate with ourselves, and two, learning how to trust ourselves. I didn't have to trust my husband to not be an addict anymore. Because if that was the case, we would have gotten a divorce.
Right? It's very powerful. As someone who's been able to, witness it in others, when we were in Hawaii and watching that come up. And then my transformation, as you helped me in Hawaii and afterwards, of who's driving the bus, has made such a huge difference. And in all aspects of my business, my relationship with my parents, well, all relationships, because it's it truly is transformational. And I know that there's others here who are talking about it as well, right? And so I'm excited that you're bringing that to the world.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
So that brings me to the third marriage myth and paradigm shift that I want to share with you today. So this one might be controversial too. Not that the other ones weren't, but people will tell you that maybe you're just growing apart. Anyone heard that? Like,
right.
I've grown out, and let's not reference our marriages right now. Like, let's reference friendships. Let's reference colleagues, acquaintances, family members. Have you ever heard or been told, well, maybe you're just growing apart from them? Totally. Yep. Thought it. Okay. I'm going to like turn that on its head and say, that's wrong. Here's why it's wrong. That, you know, that maybe you're just growing apart is wrong, is the fact that we don't really grow apart. Like, let's think about it. That right there is a mindset that creates a separation culture, a culture of over independence, saying that we're separate from one another. When we grow, we're all growing. I mean, growing and dying, right? Like, you're either growing or you're dying, but we're all evolving through life. We are all moving through this life. And who's to judge who's growing and who's not growing? We're all growing. It might look different, but doesn't mean it's apart. That's the nuance. Like, when we tell ourselves we can grow apart from someone like this, right? And granted, like, sure, in the world, you know, when we look at science or we look at like plants and animals, like, sure, it can grow apart, but really we're just growing. And the judgment that we place in that statement creates distance in the relationships that we have. I'll pause there for a second.
Yeah. I mean, so here's what I'm hearing is, and we hear this a lot in the self-development world.
Yes.
Right, so you're vibing at a higher rate. I've said that a lot. So people are vibing at different rates. And so you'll have people here and people here. I haven't used the word grown apart, but as I'm reflecting, and that's really that's actually what I'm sensing is that. And I love the fact that you're saying, no, that's not true. You're not growing apart. And there's so much judgment, you know, and when in the personal development world, when we start working on self, and we have partners or family that don't. And then people will say, well, you know, how can you be in a relationship with that person, you know, whether it's a parent or a sister, a sibling or a spouse, because they're not doing the work that you're doing. I hear that lots, Samantha. I'm sure you do as well. Right.
Yeah. And what it also alludes to, okay, in marriages is that if he's not willing to do the work, this can't work. If he's not, or she is not growing with me, then this is not going to work. But that's not true. We already talked about it earlier in this conversation, that it only takes one person to transform a relationship by the law of systems. This is science. If you change one part of a system, by law, the system must and will change, or it will come to a natural completion. So, in essence, your relationships, right? If you change the way you show up in the relationship, it must and will change. Yes, it could come to a natural completion, and that's, some people complete their marriages beautifully. I'm not saying divorce is bad. It's a completion. But that doesn't mean you necessarily grew apart. You just completed the contract. You completed the relationship. Right? And it's, I just, the reason why this is so controversial is because a lot of people live on this belief to validate their decision to end the marriage or to complete the marriage or to move on from another friendship or relationship. It's just such a nice way to say it, but it's, what you're saying is that you have no impact and you have no power over the relationships you have in your life. And if you continue to believe this belief, you will continue on this very lonely path of not finding your tribe, of not finding the love of your life, of not feeling satisfied in your relationships. So I'm not saying you can't believe it. I'm just saying, if you're experiencing relationship struggles and challenges, this belief is holding you back.
That is like, I'm kind of like, okay, let's just all like, because that's huge when you think about well, that how high the divorce rate is, but even friendship. Like I love how you brought that into like all relationships, Samantha.
Yeah.
It's not just our intimate relationships, you know, and the growing apart. Um, and so if we looked at this differently, then, so what you're saying is because it's following the natural way, it's following the systems, and we are making we're transforming.
Mm-hmm.
And so the relationship will transform, period.
Mm-hmm.
That transformation might include a natural completion. That's what I'm
Mm-hmm.
understanding. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, it could complete itself. Yes.
Yeah.
And I love the question that Jackie dropped in the chat is it possible to outgrow people? That's still part of that belief of we're growing apart, that you can outgrow someone
Mm.
versus like the alternative thought that you can subscribe to. You don't have to, like none of these things are have tos. But the alternative belief that we can believe instead of saying we grew someone is maybe even just taking this introspective look and say, what am I believing? Because really, let me back this up. Our beliefs cause our thoughts cause our actions cause our results, right? Like that's what we've been taught, at least, right? That really everything stems down to our belief system. And so instead of saying, oh, have we outgrown one another? Oh, have I outgrown this person? Maybe we've just outgrown each other. You can check in with yourself and say, what belief do I have that's causing me to feel disconnected with this person? Right? And what belief, and let me like presence this. I'm not trying to tell anyone to stay in an abusive relationship. No. In that sense, you can check in with yourself and saying, what am I believing to stay with someone who continues to hurt me? Just because you can't outgrow, I don't believe you can outgrow someone or you've grown apart from someone, doesn't mean you don't have healthy boundaries. Doesn't mean you can't say no.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like, that's the codependency. Like, we have to grow together. What? No, we don't.
Yeah.
And it isolated me for so long to feel, oh, I'm not in resonance with these people. I haven't found my tribe yet. My husband does not want to do the work. I felt really lonely. And it's because of my beliefs that stem from things like this that created that loneliness. I have to be of resonance with these people for me to get along with them. No, a lot of my friends do not operate on this frequency. A lot of my friends would not come to this conference, come to this summit. That doesn't mean I can't have a loving, healthy, beautiful relationship with them. They don't have to grow at my rate. Not to say my rate is faster or better, just they don't have to grow with me.
Yeah.
I just need to shift the way I perceive the relationship for the relationship to grow. And guess what? A lot of them do end up growing with me, but at their own pace.
I love that because it lacks judgment. It's full of discernment and lacks judgment,
Yes.
which I love, right? Because we can look at things so differently through this new lens of this paradigm shift. Thank you. It's amazing. Amazing. I would love for you to share. I know you have some incredible gifts. And so let's talk about your regular gift, your VIP gift. I'm sure you have more wisdom to impart upon us. And then you have a way to offer to have people work with you. And I really think that's important for so many reasons, right? So
yeah. So the free gift is the Do I Stay or Do I Go guide. I think most people, their point of suffering in relationships is sitting on the fence. I mean, if you literally sit on a fence, that sucks, right? So like, that's where you are if you're trying to like, do I stay? Do I go? What do I do? And so I share with you the 3 key questions to ask yourself before you leave your marriage or relationship. You don't have to be married, in a committed relationship to benefit from this guide. So yeah, it's very self-explanatory. It will help you decide if you want to stay or leave.
And not in just intimate relationships. I used this system in a friendship.
Yes.
So it's transferable. Yeah.
Yeah. And it will also teach you how to discern once your relationship is complete. Not that you've grown apart, not that you've outgrown them, you've completed the relationship, right? It feels really peaceful. It's a calm, confident decision. You love and honor them. There's no anger or resentment. It's just, it feels good. Okay. And then my VIP gift is it's a self-led Inner Mosaic program. So we've been talking about Inner Mosaic. I've never offered it to the public before. It's a recording of the program that I've run in the past, and it's self-led modules. I believe it's 13 modules. And I'm offering you a complimentary consultation after that, this Inner Mosaic call that we can, well, it doesn't have to be after, but at any point in time when you're taking the program, we can get on an individual call and work through your personal Inner Mosaic map. And that the one-on-one plus the self-led program is $1,000 value. Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, I know I've been raving and ranting about it the whole time, but it really truly was such a game changer for me, both in my personal and my business relationship with myself. Like, I became really aware of, after I'd done a masterclass last week, and then Samantha and I had a discussion, and I was like, oh my goodness, this Inner Mosaic showed up.
Yeah.
Right. This part of myself was driving the bus and during the master class, and she's awesome, and she shouldn't be driving the bus in a master class.
Yeah.
Right. So yes.
Yeah.
So, and I know we have a few other people here who can definitely, definitely share, their experience as well. And so you have that VIP gift. And of course, our time together, you, myself, and Candace.
Yeah, our VIP day. Like, come do that. So I use Inner Mosaic not only to work through relationship challenges, like, and mind you, I say this too, everything is a relationship. You relate to your business, you relate to money, you relate to time, you relate to energy, to the inanimate objects in your life is a relationship. We relate to everything in our world, inside and out.
Yeah.
So what applies to maybe your marriage can be applied to all relationships. And so we use this Inner Mosaic method to help you discern your zones of genius, to help you understand your gifts in the world. And that's really how that plays out in this VIP day when we're going to come together, is I will help you experience the beauty of Inner Mosaic to unlock some of the blocks that might be holding you back from the success, the sacred success you've been wanting.
And you get to see Samantha and magic, right? And manifestation with Candace, right? With myself, it'll be awesome.
Yes.
Now, last but certainly not least, I'm really excited about this. Really, like, just the whole concept of what you're bringing. And so I would love, because I know there's people here that want to work with you, and they're like, how do I do this? Like, what's next? This is great, Samantha. What's next? So what's next?
Yes. Well, I want to first talk to everyone. Like, my zone of genius really is helping people in their marriage. And I know that's really niche. Yes, I take the Inner Mosaic program if you want to do the work outside of a intimate or marriage relationship. But the way that I love to work with my couples is through the marriage Mindshift program. It's really about changing the way that we view our relationships in order to transform our relationships. And so I have it's a 12-session program that can be consumed over 3 to 6 months. The investment is normally $5,000 payment plan, or $4,500 paid in full. I'm offering it to this community only, the summit people only, at $4,500 in a payment plan, right? Or $4,000 paid in full, which is less than my current clients are paying for this. So just don't tell anybody. But here I will drop a link to a page that talks about my marriage Mindshift program. And then if you're wanting to get on a consultation with me, like I know it says marriage Mindshift consultation, but if you're wanting to get on a consultation with me and talk more about Inner Mosaic and how you can work with me more intimately and not just through a self-led program, you can definitely book a call with me and we can have that discussion for sure.
Thank you. Oh, amazing, amazing. So, oh, wise one. Oh, wise one. We still have a bit of time.
We do have time. Yes.
We do have time. And so I know by working with you and being in your presence that you often have downloads, you call them, information. And as you started, you made a comment about you're receiving the downloads and you're getting warm.
Yes.
And so through our time together, I'm sure there's like these little bits of information that you are like processing, downloading, and putting in a very special gift box for us for the end of our time together. So please continue and sharing because I know you I know you have more to share. So
yeah. Well, okay. Before I share, I know we have like a little less than 10 minutes left, but before I share some of the downloads, I want to answer some of the questions that came through right before we started talking about gifts, because I think it's important. So Rosemary asked the question, what can you tell us about relationship laziness? And you might have to give me a little bit more context, Rosemary, but what I believe you're asking me is, what happens when one partner is kind of being lazy in the relationship and they're not wanting to do any work, right? Like my husband didn't want to, we went to couples therapy, went to marriage therapy, and then it failed in 3 months because he really subconsciously didn't want to do the work, right? And he's like, I just don't love you anymore. And well, this was the second time that we went through when he went through his dark night of the soul, it was, I don't love you anymore. I don't want to be with you. I want more freedom, because I was controlling apparently. But that wasn't really the truth. The truth was he perceived me as controlling, and that was his belief system. So I would check in with ourselves when it comes to the description of laziness or relationship laziness, and check in and say, like, where is this belief coming from? Right? I believe that my partner is being lazy in the relationship. Where is it coming from? Meaning, take yourself back to an early memory of feeling neglected or like you weren't important in a relationship, that they weren't willing to do things for you as a child, maybe when you weren't able to do things for yourself. And check in with that part of yourself, because that's the part of yourself showing up every time your spouse doesn't want to have a deep and meaningful conversation, every time your spouse wants to defer talking about the problems in your marriage, every time that they're sitting on the couch and you're over there cleaning the house and doing the dishes and making food and all the things. Like, check in with yourself. Because one, what boundaries am I not setting in the relationship to create this reality for myself? And two, what's the belief behind them? And I'm only saying this because I don't have the full context, but yes, it's deep work. It really is. Like you're experiencing that feeling. It's not the first time you've had it. Yes, most of us don't right now in our relationships currently aren't being triggered by our current spouse or current relationship. It's very true. Ranchel's laughing.
Oh, excuse me. True that, right?
Yeah. It's an inner mosaic part showing up and driving the bus. So the downloads that I had while we were talking, I feel like the last paradigm shift kind of left people in confusion. And what I want to do for, like, the first two, you were following me, you were tracking me, and the last one, you're like, I lost you. Like, I get you, but I lost you. And that was what I was receiving as far as that message. And what I want you to do is there's different levels of awareness. One of my mentors has taught me this, and multiple mentors have their own ways of teaching it. There's 3 different levels of awareness. Well, 4. So life happening to me, right? This is a victim mentality. When you're saying that my spouse is lazy and not participating in the relationship, you are playing the victim role. I'm not saying that you're not being victimized or that they're not doing any, like they could be gaslighting you. They could be doing something not nice. That doesn't mean that that's not happening, but the way you perceive it can either be in victim mode or empowerment mode, right? So life happening to me, life happening by me. Okay, let me take some empowerment. Like, let me take some responsibility. I'm responsible for my life. I'm responsible for my thoughts and feelings and actions. But in that level of awareness, sometimes we take too much responsibility and we forget about our source, right? And we forget that life is actually happening through us, not by us. It's through us. And that's the 3rd level of awareness, where we are this conduit, we are this channel, and we are all connected. If we can't grow apart if we're all connected, we are all one. Unique expressions of one energy. Like, let's just be real. Like, if we go to the place that we're growing apart or we've outgrown someone, we're saying, oh, my arm is no longer a part like of my body. Like, it's outgrown me. Like, I've worked that one out way too much. It needs to leave the body.
Oh, I got a visual now. I got a visual. Thank you. Yeah.
No, we're a system. We're right. Like, we're all spiritual beings having a human experience. And so life is happening through us. And then the 4th level of awareness is life is happening as us. And that is a very like monk-like energy, not often experienced. If you want to experience this more often, you need to go either watch Virio's talk from this morning, because my mentor would say it happens the moment of orgasm. And then when you're like, oh, that was good, you're out of it. You are no longer in life happening as you. So if you want more as you experiences of awareness, go talk to Virio about having more orgasms. You don't need a partner for it, I promise. But yeah, so I just wanted to add some context to that. I didn't want to leave everyone in like,
Right. Yeah. No, so much appreciated. What I'm sensing, right, of course, is like this, it really does feel like the matrix sometimes for me, right? When people start to the shift, right? The transformation, the transmutations happening today. And some people are like, in transforming, but there's definitely a mutation happening today. And so I'm so excited, thank you so much, for being the gift and the genius you are to the world. I mean, what I know of you is that your mission to help and guide 10 million marriages, that yes, you will do it. Not that you can do it. I know that you will do it.
Yeah.
And to be able to witness you and be one of your cheerleaders, and I'm honored to be here with you. I'm honored to be the one to be interviewing you. Thank you so much. Yeah, people are like, you're such a gift, Samantha. Yes, she is such a gift. So thank you so much. We have 20 seconds left. Samantha, anything else you want to share?
You are a change agent. You have the power within you to change every relationship in your life. So just go trust yourself.
Love that. All right, before the music cues, we have a networking event after this, so come back.
Oh, this one is the closing ceremony. Yeah,
closing ceremony. Pardon me. Networking is tomorrow. Thank you. Right.
Networking.
For the closing ceremony, right? Yeah. I just show up. Can you tell that, everyone? I'm like, I know we have something after this. Come and hang out for a little bit, and let's do this last bit of connection together. I think it's so important that we are able to, and really learned this from Candace, is to close the circle today.
Yes.
So Thank you so much,
Thank
everyone.
you.
We'll see you on the other side. Cue music.
Thank you for joining us for another amazing session on the Sacred Success Summit. For more information or to apply to be a speaker at one of our upcoming events, email our team at breakthrough@clarityconfidenceconnection.com. Now, tune in to another transformational speaker.